It all began with Ronald Robert Evans Sr. and 3 others who ran labor camps that looked like any other seasonal farm set up on the surface. One sat in Palatka, Florida, the other in Newton Grove, North Carolina. For years they cruised the Southeast, stopping at homeless shelters, soup kitchens, and low-income neighborhoods, recruiting people who had nothing left. These weren't typical migrant crews chasing the next harvest. They were folks down on their luck, promised steady work and a place to sleep. Once they arrived, the charges started immediately. $50 a week came off the top for housing, while they broke their backs in the fields for minimum wage or less. Every weekday, the on-site company store opened up, selling crack cocaine, untaxed generic beer, and contraband cigarettes at prices blown sky high. Every purchase got sliced straight from their paychecks, and on payday, the envelopes sometimes held crack advances tucked inside like a sick bonus. One worker later told NPR that any advance he took had to be repaid at a full 100% interest. The debt just kept growing, tighter with every week that passed. The trap wasn't only financial. Evans Sr. had the camp's overflowing septic tanks emptied straight into Cow Creek, a tributary that fed the St. Johns River. Raw waste poured in, contaminating the water and violating the Clean Water Act in the process. This wasn't his first time facing regulators either. Since 1988, the Department of Labor and Florida's Department of Business and Professional Regulation had investigated him over and over. He was fined $1,350 that year for skipping registration as a farm labor contractor and hauling workers without proper insurance. In 1992, another $4,060 hit him for unsafe housing, late wages, and sloppy records at the North Carolina camp. Still, the operations rolled on year after year until federal charges finally came down in 2005. The trial unfolded in 2006 as United States versus Evans. Witnesses described how the defendants recruited vulnerable people and squeezed every bit of value from them. Ronald Robert Evans Sr. was convicted. On January 26, 2007, he received 30 years in federal prison plus 3 years of supervised release. The conviction sent ripples outward. The very next year, in April 2007, the Coalition of Immokalee Workers posted a reflection on the case, calling it part of their broader fight against farm worker slavery and noting that the crimes had taken place on land tied to a former chairman of the Florida Fruit and Vegetable Association. By April 15, 2008, the Evans case landed in a Senate hearing chaired by Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont on ending abuses and improving conditions for tomato workers. Senators Ted Kennedy, Richard Durbin, and Sherrod Brown sat alongside Lucas Benitez from the Coalition of Immokalee Workers, Detective Charlie Frost, Eric Schlosser, and others. They laid out this case and several more recent ones involving workers beaten, chained to poles, locked inside U-Hauls, kicked, slapped, threatened, kept in perpetual debt, or forced to work for free. Detective Frost said slavery in the fields was almost assuredly still happening right then. Eric Schlosser noted that crimes like these felt like they belonged in 1868, not 2008. Senator Sanders closed by stating that slavery should not exist in America in 2008 and that the wages and working conditions in the industry needed significant improvement. Decades later, the story took one more turn. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Evans Sr. was released to home confinement. Then, on December 12, 2024, he received clemency as part of a larger group of inmates from that program. The same year, a new Department of Labor rule protecting H-2. A visa farm workers from retaliation for unionizing was blocked from enforcement across 17 states. A lawsuit led by Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach and 16 others convinced a Georgia judge named Lisa Wood to rule the regulation invalid because Congress had explicitly excluded farm workers from those protections under the National Labor Relations Act. The rule never took effect.